And thanks for joining me for Where I'm From 79. I'm Allison, and Vanessa will be joining me. What have you been reading? I reread I'm not really sure which amount of times, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I first read it in high school when I was like around 17 and going through a very hard time. And I didn't know if rereading it now as a grown person, I would have the same response. And I was really affected by it still. Um, I don't think I knew. Oh, you joined. It says you joined. You're here.
I'm here.
Hi. How are you?
Hey there.
You
I'm doing
too.
well. So good to
Vanessa and
see
I know
you.
each other through writing class. So we normally are in Zooms with a lot of other people. So this is
Zoom.
still virtual, but it's nice to see just your face. So, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's
So
good
is
to
there
be here.
anything you'd like to say, or do you want to read it right away? Some people just want to get it over with because of the nerves. Other people want to chat because of the nerves. Some people don't have nerves.
Well, I do have nerves. I know that
Oh,
my
I
point is a
love
little
it.
on the
I
long
don't.
side.
There's no rules. Every once in
Okay.
a while, someone will ask me, "Oh, does this fit?" Whatever it
Thank
is,
you.
it fits. That's the whole point, really.
Yeah, I did have a lot of fun writing it, and
Oh,
actually,
that's so
I've
cool.
written three or four, and they kind of
Mm-hmm.
tend to go off in different directions, depending on what kind of
Mm-hmm.
comes out on that first line. So I had a lot of fun with it, and it just kind of can be so expansive and yeah, take off in lots
That's
of
a
different
good point about
directions.
the first line,
So I kind of
that it does sort of set
yeah.
the tone of maybe potentially where you're headed. Because I've shared on here that I'm going to try to write one a year and share it on my birthday. I've done it twice.
Ah,
Um, and this year I was like, oh, I want to write one that's like the good memories, kind of like a more, you,
right.
you know, fun one. Did not happen. Did not happen.
Happy,
Just
not
with,
so dark.
yeah, it was like,
Oh,
so I'll have
really?
to go. I can't remember the first line, but I'll have to go back and think about. Yeah, I even like put on music that I
Hmm.
thought would help, and it was humorous actually because it didn't work at all. Went pretty dark. So yeah, it happens.
Wow. Well, sometimes that darkness
Yeah, and I
just
think
has to come
poetry.
out.
I was talking about this with someone else. I think poetry oftentimes can get in places that maybe other writing can't. And I think for me, sometimes it can,
Hmm.
things that I have difficulty expressing or really, I don't know, fully understanding, the poetry can get in that place.
Hmm. Yeah, it can
Hmm.
force you to dig deep and kind of
Yeah, yeah,
bring up
that's the thing
surprises.
that's fun about it. Do I sound okay to you? Because I have an
Yeah,
echo of myself for me.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh,
No, you
you
sound
sound
perfect.
perfect to
It's just
me.
me,
Do I
so
sound
that's fine.
okay?
Um,
Okay.
so you wrote a bunch, and did you choose this one, or you wrote this one, sent it to me, and then wrote more after that? Okay.
That's what happened. Yeah. I wrote more after. But and like you, they kind of all
Hmm.
meander back to the
Yeah,
dark side.
I mean, it is what it is. I love this
So,
poem. I'm very excited to
but,
hear it. So if you're
okay.
ready.
Thank you. I'm ready. Let's do this. Where I'm from. I'm from Secondhand Smoke, Dippity Doo, and Aquanet. From banana bikes, barefoot summers, and sunburned shoulders. From Mother May I, Red Rover, and Simon Says until the streetlights came on. I'm from the slick linoleum floors of Air Force Base housing, neutral in color and waxed to a hard shine, cool to my bare feet. I'm from dandelions, the official flower of the military brat. Like a seed blowing in the wind, I replanted myself with each cross-country move, never living anywhere long enough to grow roots. I'm from a silver tinsel tree with a slow spinning color wheel, pajamas on Christmas Eve, and I got it at the Gettin' Place. From broken dishes and a broken home. From Mary Clara, known by all as Grammy. From great Uncle Levi, a true cowboy who died a month shy of his 112th birthday. And from two Aunt Cookies. I'm from sweltering Oklahoma summers with cousins, candy, and Coke Ices from Wig's Wagabag Corner Store. I'm from Jim Beam and Tanqueray, the drinkers and the fighters. From calling the MPs at 10, 11, and 12 years old to have stepdad hauled to the drunk tank. From because I said so, I'll give you something to cry about, and don't make me stop this car. I'm from my baptism at 10, with no parent present, and a tiny country fire and brimstone church where Grammy and one of the cookies sometimes spoke in tongues. I'm from red dirt hardscrabble Okies, raised on biscuits and gravy, pinto beans with tomatoes and fried okra from the garden, cornbread and buttermilk that Grandpa slurped from a goblet with a spoon. From a quiet daddy who died of a brain tumor when I was in my 20s. From Mama, a beautiful dark-haired country girl who grew up without indoor plumbing and sewed her skirts from potato sacks. I'm from wide-edged photographs stamped with dates from a different era, from crinkled Polaroids, from Kodak Instamatic snapshots printed in duplicate at the photomat in 1 hour. I'm from 4 girls and no boys, and all of us remember our childhoods so differently, but we all agree we wish there was a straight answer to the question, where are you from?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
A comment said I'm crying, and it was really emotional for sure.
Oh,
I
ah,
the dandelion metaphor was really stuck with me. I was not a military brat, but I knew a lot of people who were, and that rings so true to the experience they've shared with me.
yeah, and there's a beautiful poem. I can't remember who wrote it right now, but it's all about that and how the metaphor of the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
blowing in
Yeah,
the
and
wind.
and so many things. My husband is from
Never.
Texas and is multi-generational Texan, and so a lot of those Oklahoma, there's overlap. Contrary to what some Texans and Oklahomans might think, there is some
Hmm.
overlap.
Absolutely.
So that all was like emotional for me. It made me think of his grandparents, like fresh okra and tomato from the gardens, and
Mm,
all that. So it really gave a
yeah.
sense of place, which I think was interesting, juxtaposing with you talking about you didn't feel like you have a place where you're from, but obviously somebody's people are from Oklahoma. Your mom's okay. Okay.
Hmm. Both sides. Both sides, yes. My mom and dad both were born and raised in kind of South Central Oklahoma. They met in high school. And yes, that was our anchor. Oklahoma was the place we kept going back to. That was kind of my our
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
adopted home, I guess. It's where all of our cousins were, and we
Yeah.
we got there
Yeah. And
almost
those
every
summers
summer.
and those sayings that you had, those all
Yeah.
what they might not have been said to me, but they all felt very of a time, and that was sort of parenting 101 almost,
Yes.
those sayings, which is just funny.
That that's
Mm-hmm.
how parents did
Yeah,
it back then. We were meant to be
definitely. That was
seen and
definitely
not
my
heard.
grandfather's uh,
Yeah.
point of view. And so we didn't get along great. Um, yeah, he was just kind of like,
Oh.
why does she keep telling me what she thinks of things? As if I care, you know?
Mm,
It's like, well, because I'm a person.
right. Yeah. Hmm.
That wasn't
Hmm.
enough of a reason. So what was the experience like for you writing this first one or any of them, or how did you feel?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely emotional, um, but also excited because there were so many things wanting to kind of come out and say, "Hey, remember me," and there were too much, and I had to really pare it down and kind of pick and choose the most important. Uh, things, because I could have gone on. I could have written the whole poem just
Mm-hmm.
repeating the first paragraph. You know, the products, um, the Dippity Doo and Aquanet. That was mainly on
Yes.
school picture day morning
Yeah, and the
and on special
secondhand smoke,
occasions.
that was like a big because both my husband and
Oh
I
yeah.
grew up around secondhand smoke, and it's hard to really communicate
Mhm.
to our kids, I mean, because they have no sense of what that was. And it was just, and I
Yeah.
remember when airplanes, you couldn't smoke on airplanes eventually, and that was the most amazing.
Eventually.
I was so excited. It's like, oh yes, smoke free. Yeah. Did
Finally.
you find that the
Yeah.
prompt helped
Yeah.
you like mine sensory details like in a different way, or that they were more present? Because I found it incredibly helpful where if someone asks me those kinds of questions when they're talking about my writing, I almost find it paralyzing. Like what
Oh,
right. What did
I
you
suffer
see?
from the
What did
same
you hear?
affliction.
Oh, I don't know. Like stop asking me that. I feel like I'm at
uh,
the cops. Like I feel like I'm at the police and I'm being questioned. Yes.
right.
Like,
I'm being
is your
interrogated.
story believable? Tell me what you were seeing and hearing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I was in freeze.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember. But this poem,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
prompt, I, I, I think it's cool to think
Mm-hmm.
of like writing all these and how meaningful, like the brands, which you don't
Yeah.
necessarily think
Yeah.
about.
Don't think about on a daily basis. But yes, I found the prompts very helpful. And
Yeah.
they're very minimal, the prompts. And, there's
Mm-hmm.
some kind of magic, I think, in that you read the prompt and then your
Mm-hmm.
brain just starts firing, in all these different directions, and you kind of have to harness one and put it on the page and then
Yeah. So
let
did
that
you
take you
make
on
a
a journey.
choice? Did you feel like you made a
That
choice about
that's what I
what
did.
journey you were going to take?
Yeah. No,
Mm-hmm.
not overall, but and like I said, I think every
Mm-hmm.
paragraph was twice as long initially, and so I went back and then like pared it down some and just kind of, you know, I love you still, but I'm not going to leave you in here, but I'm going to choose to leave this
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah. And that last
you
line,
know,
really, they
there
are.
are
And I
babies.
think for me specifically, I think with this
Mm-hmm.
prompt, I feel like, oh, it does uncover things in a way that feels visceral to me. Like I remember the memories in a
Mm-hmm.
really powerful way. And I think it's helped. I think doing this on a weekly basis and talking to people about this poem and writing my own, I think it's really helped my writing overall.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. I'm learning just in the last few months that I really
Yeah.
respond well to a prompt, and I need a little push and
Mm-hmm.
just a
Some
little
shape, a
direction.
container. It
And
makes a difference. I
that's
think
what
it
this,
really
yeah,
does. Even if you're just
yes,
making it up for yourself, like just some kind of,
yeah,
it does make a difference because
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
it's like choice paralysis, when you're,
yes,
yeah,
the blank page.
yeah. So I don't know. I could write
Oh,
anything, so I'm going to write nothing.
yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh,
um,
yeah,
yeah, I think
yes,
it's,
definitely
and I
happens.
think that's how a lot of people feel, and I think
Mhm.
all the imposter syndrome settles in, and like, oh, I don't actually have anything to say.
Ah,
Nobody really
yes,
cares. Yeah, yeah,
I'm not a writer.
right.
I'm certainly not a poet. I hadn't written poetry
Mm-hmm.
since probably my teens. I started out, I guess I started writing poetry 9 or 10 years old. Just I would steal away and, scrap of paper and a pencil. I actually would climb into trees and write just whatever
Mm-hmm.
was kind of bubbling up and needing to come out. I just felt compelled in some way to write down things. And then I would take those little pieces of paper and I'd fold them up as small as I could. And then I would jam them in between the tree branches and just leave them there
Wow,
out into the
I
world.
love that image. Mm-hmm.
And it made me
Yeah,
feel
you were having a
safe.
conversation with yourself or the tree or with the
Yeah.
sky or. Mm-hmm.
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 The universe, whatever. Yeah, yeah, and it had to come
Hmm.
out, but I didn't want anyone to
Yeah,
read it.
I didn't write anything for
So,
that reason. So I like that
hmm
solution.
mm,
And that was the advice that was also given to me. Don't write anything down that you don't want everyone to read. That's what my grandfather told my mother and my mother told me. And I took that to heart. She was,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
see that.
it's, mhm,
If you live in a busy house with other people,
yes. It's not
especially
terrible
siblings,
advice. Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not
they're going to be
terrible.
snoopy.
Um, so my diary, because I would get one periodically as a gift, was the most dull,
Hmm hmm
just the worst,
I
because
hear
it was
you.
safe, so it was just like, I like so
hmm
and so
hmm
stinks on a daily basis. That's not really, yeah, yeah,
Today it was
truly.
sunny.
Like the most dull thing you can imagine is what it was. And it was
Yeah.
just play with fonts, like I felt like that was safe, like penmanship.
Practice. I practice my handwriting. Yes, yes. Hours and hours. How am I
Hmm.
going to make my
Yeah,
V?
it's a different time. So, any
Yeah.
other thoughts or experiences before we wrap up,
Mm.
or any other things you'd like to say?
Wow. Well, just thank you for doing this. I've been intrigued by it ever
I
since I
know.
met you about almost a year ago, and initially was too chicken to
Yeah,
sign up and come on with you, but thank
I'm
you for
glad
the
you did
push,
it.
and
It's nice to see you, but
yeah, thank
I hope
you.
it was a positive experience. It seems like for most people, the push is a good thing. So
Oh
I
yeah.
try to be like thoughtful about it.
Yes.
And if people say no, no, I respect that. But if it's like, well,
hmm
I try to circle
hmm
back and say, how are you feeling now? Because
hmm
it's powerful to get our words
Yeah.
in the world, even if it's just with me. It's just, I don't know, it's nice to be heard.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And you're doing
Thank
good
you.
thing. You're doing great work.
I'm
I
happy
really
to be doing
appreciate
it.
it. Yeah.
It reminds me, because each poem affects me in some way. And it reminds me that
Hmm.
everybody's words matter, including mine. I'm much better at advocating for other people.
Yeah.
So it's a good reminder of
Yeah.
it all matters. Nothing's wasted. It's true.
Everybody has a story. Everybody has a story, and everybody's going through something, and you don't know what it is.
So we try to give
Yeah.
each other, yeah,
I like
we
that
try to give each other a little
analogy.
grace. Oh, go ahead. You have
The
another
one
analogy.
where, yeah. Oh, I was just going to say I've seen some meme, something like, this is someone's life, and this is how much you know about it. Be kind,
It's true.
basically.
And
So,
I also
yeah.
appreciate this prompt and this conversation because most often now as a grown woman, I don't get to hear these. I hear, depending on what phase of your life you're
Mm,
in with your kids or with your work, or you hear about that. And I love
yeah.
all of this, and I and the specificity
hmm
and the things that create the foundation of our lives and who we are now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the versions actually started coming out as more like my daughter's childhood. Um, because
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of growing
Mm-hmm.
up with her. I was a
And you were
single
younger,
parent,
right?
and you know, I was,
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't real young. I was
that
in my
seems young to
mid
me.
20s when I had her. So,
Especially as a
yeah.
single mom,
Well,
like that's a
yes,
lot.
now. Sure. Sure. Yeah, but yeah, some of the lines were blurred, and so yeah, I have a version. I'm from raising
Yeah,
her
I
as
think
well.
I want to try to do ones from
Yeah,
different points of view, and it's very flexible.
yeah,
If you,
different
yeah,
stages in your life. Yeah, yeah. We could do one for every decade,
yeah, I think that would be interesting for sure.
of our lives.
Um,
Yeah,
no,
because we're not the
no,
same
I've come
people,
to realize
you
that
know.
more and more how much I feel like different people almost. I mean, it's an evolution and I think that's why
hmm
part of the reason it's interesting to return to these foundational experiences, because it's easy for me to say,
Yeah.
well, I'm a different person now. That was a long time ago, but it all goes into the mix. So,
Yep. For sure. Sometimes you just have to get in there and stir it
yes.
around
And
and
then take a nap. Um,
yes.
or maybe that's just me. But yeah.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Vanessa. This was such a treat. Okay.
Thank you, Alice.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye.
Have a great day.